So welcome to Motivation Monday. So let's look at our tip of the week. Allstate has launched a new final expense product. It actually started, it says today, but it was actually on the 29th. I think that's when I was building the slide. And these are the states that it's going to be in so far. The thing about that final expense is as far as what it's going to cost, typically, it's about $8.80 or so per $1,000. Okay, so I think your minimum is going to be around 2,500, and then depending upon exactly which product, there's a couple of variations. There's a graded product for those who are, have a lot of pre-existing conditions. They'll still provide the insurance. It just will only return premium in like the first 3 years or so. And then after that, it'll, pay the full amount. Although it does pay on accidental death. Yeah, the full amount. And then the regular product, starts at about, like I said, $2,500 and will go up to about $50,000. All right. Our topic for today, I kind of call it, starting a healthcare discussion. But what I'm really trying to provide you here with, and I think everybody should break out a pen and paper, or I'll give you my email address here at the end. And if you want a copy of the questions, I would gladly email it out to you. But the idea here is to have this bank of really good open-ended questions to try to break through on those customers, that just don't want to tell you anything. They've called in, they've said that they want insurance, but then as you try to, understand exactly what they want and what they need, what their situation is, they just clam up, right? I don't know. So let's just get this bank of good questions that we can ask to kind of break through that stubbornness of, or maybe they're just phone shy. I don't know. But this has always worked for me. I kept it printed out, next to my computer and phone so that when I got those people who just didn't want to give me any information, I'd start using these questions to kind of break through that. So here's my first one. How satisfied are you with your current health insurance plan? And this is where maybe they'll kind of break down and give you what it is that they don't like. It costs too much. The deductible's too high. Uh, just things like that. The doctor I want to see is not in the network. I mean, it could be any of those kinds of things. My co-pays are too much. I mean, you got to kind of get them to start talking about health insurance. And so how satisfied are you with your health insurance? If they were totally satisfied with it, they wouldn't be talking to you, right? So there's got to be some issue going on, and you want to try to uncover what that is so we can see how we can solve that for them. What's the biggest challenge you face with respect to health insurance? Okay, maybe it's some very expensive prescriptions, and all they've cut is that that 10% or so discount that they're getting from some coupon that they got. So you need to kind of break through that. I mean, there are drugs out there that are incredibly expensive, and it almost makes getting that full price ACA type plan, major medical, the best choice. I mean, if you've got one of these $1,000 a month prescriptions, and I can get them into some kind of ACA plan for less than that, and get that prescription down to just like a $35 copay. I mean, we can go that route. But unless we know what the biggest challenge is and where their problems are, we can't get to that. So that's my second one there. What's the biggest challenge you face with respect to health insurance? Now, this one's pretty important. A lot of times you're spending all your time with a person and they don't have the power to make the decision on here. So are there any other decision makers who have a say in your choice of coverage? So you may be talking to a husband or a wife, and they need the other's go ahead. Well, I'd rather have them both on a conference call, try to set up a time where I can speak with both of them. A lot of times, the person has a parent or a friend or a guardian or someone else that they trust that they want on that as part of that discussion. I've had many of those where the parent is trying to buy the insurance, but they've got a son or daughter that wants to be part of that decision to make sure they're getting the right thing. So many of them were not the decision maker throughout their life, and now they are, and they're just looking for some assistance. So that's a good one there. Save you from wasting a lot of time with somebody who doesn't have the power to make that buy decision. What are your top health and wellness priorities for the coming year for you and anyone else included on your policy? So that can kind of, break through on some of those where, it's a family, but there's one of the parents or one of the children that has some very specific health needs that you need to be able to address. But that just, for whatever reason, they just don't volunteer it when they're talking to you. That I've always found it so frustrating. They've called in to find out about some health insurance, and then they don't want to tell you anything about their situation. I've had a few of those that were just crazy. I always hesitate to say it was out of Utah, but it was, these groups that had, 9 or 10 children, and they just didn't want to volunteer any information, names, birth dates, zip codes. They didn't even want to talk that with me, but they wanted health insurance. Number 5, what is your healthcare budget right now? Okay, so I've had all kinds in there. I mean, I've had people who were trying to buy a gold plan, and here that premium was $2,000 a month for the family. And the only question is that the best one you've got? This is the best one, they don't want to pay anything, but they want to get health insurance. I've put together a lot of plans that would use that, $10,000 deductible, right? And then I'd fill in with some ancillaries. And in some cases, I was still able to keep that under $100 a month. It was just crazy on, what some of these people wanted out there. And but you need to know that budget. I mean, if they've only got $125, to spend on healthcare, we got to really be careful with what we're putting them into, especially if they don't qualify for any super discounts on an ACA plan, or they don't have an SEP to get into one, or a QLE, excuse me. But knowing what that budget is and how you can work with it, that is a big deal, okay? Can save you a lot of time and effort knowing what that budget is. Well, this is always a good one, where they're talking and they won't really, break out that information for you. It's just, how many times have you seen a doctor this last year? And from there, you can kind of, I didn't see anybody at all. All I did was my annual physical. Or, gosh, it seems like I'm in that office every other week. I mean, just that's going to really drive, what kind of a plan you need. Doesn't mean that they're going to be able to afford it. I always like to keep that straight in there. but you can at least find out exactly what it is that they need and separate those needs from wants. Okay, so how many times have you seen a doctor the last year? Okay, this is another great one. How flexible are you about choosing specific providers and pharmacies? I've had those that I've been seeing that doctor, since I was a child. And if I can't see that, Dr. Smith, then I don't even want the policy, right? So, I mean, some people are very specific. I've had people in very rural areas that have, only one or two pharmacies within driving distance, a realistic driving distance. And so those have to be in network, yeah. So you need to know what that flexibility is. I've had one that said, well, I've been seeing, Dr. Smith for the last 25 years, um, but he retired. I now have Dr. Jones, and I've never seen Dr. Jones. Well, that's somebody that's probably pretty flexible about changing, right? If I can't put Dr. Jones in the network. Okay. So just kind of keep those things in mind where we want to look up, doctors and pharmacies and facilities in their area uh, and try to make sure that they can see that. That's like I said, so these are those kinds of questions that we can use to kind of break through and find out some good information in order to put a policy together for them. How often do you travel? Okay, is that EPO going to work for them, or do they really need something that's going to be a lot more flexible? Okay, does it have to be the PPO type plan? Depending on where they live and what age group they're in, uh, can be tough to kind of fit those a traveling person in there. If they're pretty low income, and need and get a great discount there on an ACA plan. Just to let them know that when you travel, all you've got is actual emergency coverage. Okay, if you get a little sniffle, you can't go to the doctor, right? Because it's you can go, but it's not going to cover you for it, right? So, how often do you travel? Because that can really drive exactly what the most appropriate plan could be. What policy restrictions are a deal breaker for you? Okay. So again, that can get down into the network business. It can get into, whether or not a short term would work because there's pre-existing conditions. I mean, does it have to be something that's guarantee issue? There's just a lot of things that this question can uncover for them. Um, and a lot of times I find that people have some very unrealistic expectations about medical insurance. Uh, but this will help kind of sort that out. Uh, what policy restrictions are a deal breaker? Sometimes you find some people have some very, very specific wants and needs. Maybe it was something that was covered in the plan they had at work, and that one's gone now. But just ask this question and it will see what it turns up. A lot of times, the answer is no, there's nothing. Well, what kind of thing you got? And other times it can be very specific. It has to cover a specific doctor. It has to cover a specific hospital. A lot of places in the country, certain hospitals will have a reputation of people go there to die, and they don't want to be that to be the only hospital they can go to. So find that out. And then this one, number 10 here. If budget wasn't a consideration, what benefits would your perfect policy include? And maybe that's, the one that would uncover some of those unique needs that they want, things that have to be in there. For those of you that know me, I deal mostly in Medicare. And I've seen those, that want that policy that returns premium from their Part B. Early on, it used to be, I want the one with the gym membership, or I need a plan that's going to cover dentures. Okay. So that could be part of the dental plan. And just what is it that they want that is going to be the actual perfect policy for them? Okay. So those are my 10 questions. All right, quote for the week. Great salespeople are relationship builders who provide value and help their customers win. Okay. And you can define what winning is. Well, that's what I have for you this morning. I hope everybody has a great week, and we'll see you next week for Motivation Monday.